That's Sister Sister. It's called Laura. It's a great song. But let me introduce you to our wonderful guest today. She is the Sunday Times #1 best-selling author of the Poppy War, Trilogy, Babel, and global phenomenon Yellowface. Her work has won countless awards, which, if I was to list them off, we'd probably be here till about 2:30. So let's just keep going. Her new novel is called Katabasis. I'm saying that correctly, I hope.
I've been told conflicting pronunciations by all sorts of classicists. I say Katabasis, but you can say whatever you want.
Katabasis. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's being hailed as a modern classic in the making already. Rebecca Kuang, welcome. And again, let's talk about it. So you call it Katabasis.
That's what I've been saying.
Okay, I've heard different things. Is it an old ancient Greek word?
Yes, so it's a word that refers to the hero's descent to the underworld, and you can take this literally, and I have taken it literally. My characters do go to hell, but you can also take it metaphorically as a story structure where the hero reaches a place where it seems like there's no hope left. Yes. They're at the worst of their worst. They're disgusted with themselves. They don't see a reason to move forward. And so I'm also interested in metaphorically what it takes to keep going with your life when it feels like there's no hope left and you don't want to keep living.
Okay, so these are big themes, and that's what you love. You feast on big themes and big ideas.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with them.
You're obsessed. How does one become obsessed with big themes? Where did this come from?
At least with this book, it started off as kind of a light, silly romp through a fantastical version of hell that satirizes the academy, because I was in the first year of my PhD and I was poking fun at the social structure around me. But as I kept writing, it became clear that this was a vehicle for me to investigate some emotional turmoil that I hadn't really let myself linger on before. And some context here is my husband was diagnosed with a chronic illness in the first few months of our PhDs, and that was a really difficult time. I was deeply depressed, and I realized this is actually a book about mental illness and suicide and chronic illness. So as I kept writing, the themes kind of spilled, or they got out of my control, and I had to just follow them down the rabbit hole.
Isn't that extraordinary? Like, it started off with this could be a jolly romp through satire and academia, and then it goes, oof, here we go.
Yeah.
And so you had planned one thing, and then clearly, as life was happening, it filtered into your pen or your keyboard, and you just brought it into the storytelling.
Yeah, I got deeper and darker.
Yeah. When you're looking at all the themes for your ideas and the background, do you often think about, I find in your books as well, it's colonialism, history, ownership of language, ownership of ideas, ownership of soul in some respects. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the most obvious comparison for Katabasis is my previous fantasy novel, Babel, which is a critique of British colonialism and language and translation, all set in 19th century Victorian England. But I look at these books as a sort of duology, where Babel does this big socio-historical critique that takes a bird's eye view of the long 19th century and very much situates our characters in this huge geopolitical map of trade and war. Katabasis it tunnels inward. The cast is much smaller. It's really revolving just around 3 characters in this sort of messed up advisor-advisee love triangle. And here I'm much more interested in the psychological damage that can spill out of abuse within the academy. I'm more interested in interpersonal relationships and really on a one-to-one level, right? What Levinas describes as an encounter with the other, what it takes to really know somebody and reveal your vulnerabilities and to get a grasp on somebody else's vulnerabilities. So ultimately, it's a story about love.
Yeah, and which is the great story of all, isn't it? After all is said and done, you call yourself. I'm looking at the spines of your books here because I brought in my own copies of it, and you've got Rebecca F Kuang.
Yeah, that's right.
Or F Kuang, and you started as RF, is that right? And you just kept the initials, and as I understand it, you decided to go full Rebecca. Oh no, at least, sorry, you decided to keep the RF because you like the punctuation, is that right?
Yeah, so people think that there's a lot of intentionality about this, and the truth is I'm just kind of silly. So when I started publishing fantasy, I was 19 years old, and I'd seen that a lot of women around me were publishing fantasy with their initials, like J.K. Rowling, N.K. Jemisin, S.A. Chakraborty, and I thought, oh, that seems to be the cool thing to do. I'll publish as R.F. Kuang. And as time went on, I grew really attached to the R.F. Kuang because first it showcases my family name, and my family are very very important to me, and they're the reason why I write. And I also like how you can style the punctuation.
Yeah.
But when Yellowface came out, my team wanted me to publish as Rebecca F Kuang because, as they explained it, in the UK, if you use initials, it seems like you're hiding something. And
Really?
I thought, well, I have nothing to hide, so it can be Rebecca. But they kept it as R.F. Kuang in the US because of search engine reasons. So now it's just this big headache where it's inconsistent across territories. Yeah, and the metadata is a total mess, and I don't care one way or the other. But turns out when you respond to an email chain with, "Oh, I don't care, you can do whatever you want," it just gives everybody else a headache. So, yeah, that's where we are. We're in a Schrodinger's cat of name stylizations.
Because when you think of as you described all the authors with particularly female authors, maybe with the initials, some people thought they would do that because it was a man's world and people wouldn't take them seriously if they wrote their names as women's names. Is that still running today, or is that completely changed? It doesn't matter down.
It's not something that I personally experience anymore. And actually, my friend and an author I admire very much, Shannon Chakraborty, she has gone back to writing as Shannon instead of S.A. because, as she's explained it, she might as well own the fact that she's a woman on the page because misogynists are going to be misogynists no matter what. And in my case, it's not really hiding anything. Like my author photos on the back of the book, it's not a secret
mystery,
that I'm a woman. Yeah.
Rebecca Kuang is our guest today, and just did the full Irish tourist board there for you, Rebecca, as to where to go on your holidays when you go to Ireland properly, to the west of Ireland. Can you remember anything I said to you, where to go?
Roundstone.
Okay. You're going to have chowder in O'Dowd's pub then. You're going to go for beach on Dogs Bay. And
I am trying to be vegan, so I'm not sure about the chowder.
You're not going to have chowder.
We'll
you're going to have vegetable soup, and it's going to be delicious with lovely soda bread from the area. And
I really like soda bread.
Now we're cooking. And they do really well in Ireland, so you're going to love that. And for your landscape, you like to paint a little bit, do you?
I do, yeah.
And where do you paint, or what do you paint?
Well, I really like painting nature. In the past few years, my creative outlet used to be writing, but that's my profession now, and there's a lot of pressure attached to it. So I've been exploring art where, nobody cares if I'm terrible and I don't have to show anybody, and I can just let the left side of my brain explore and try out new things with like no expectation attached.
You mentioned your husband. How's his health? Is he okay? Is he in good shape?
Yeah, he's doing a lot better. Once you have a diagnosis for something like Crohn's disease, it is manageable. You can't ever cure it, but you can manage it.
Yeah, not easy to live with, but once you, as you say, get on top of it, that makes it a little bit easier for all of you. So it's on the mend. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, glad to hear it. And how did you meet him?
So we met in high school. We both did high school debate, and I'm a few years older than him. I was a senior, so I was in my last year, and he was transferring to the school I was graduating from, and we met in our debate coach's office, and then 11 years later, our debate coach officiated our wedding.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So he was a wedding celebrant or whatever.
Yeah, I gave a whole speech and everything. Bennett was shorter than me at the time when we first met and shook hands. He said, "Wow, this is so intimidating." But then one day he wasn't shorter than me anymore, and I looked at him differently, and we've been together ever since.
Is that lovely? Oh, that's great. And because you were a wonderful debating champion at some stage. What did that do for your personality and your abilities in life?
A couple of things. Before I started debating, I actually had a speech impediment where I was too afraid to push air through my vocal cords when I spoke. So I was forming all the right shapes with my mouth, but nobody could hear me. And then once I had the competitive incentive of debate, I got on stage and it was like everything changed. Suddenly I was yelling at guys like twice my size, and it was really, really fun. And it also taught me to think analytically. It taught me how to do research, and especially it taught me how to grab somebody's attention when you only have 3 minutes to make your point. And I think that ability to cut through the nonsense and put down the essentials on the page has translated into my storytelling abilities.
How handy, from debating to parsing and analysing, really. How did you go from, as you say, speech impediment and maybe a little shy as a result, I don't know, but to yelling at people twice your size? I mean, what was the transformation?
Well, when you really want to win, you can do anything. And I've always been a really tunnel vision, laser focused person. So once I got it in my head, I wanted to be a debate champion. Then I think all my other hangups just fell away. And I was finding my voice on stage and finding that I could reach people in a way I never had before. And that was really cool.
When you look at the books that I have here, Babel, they call it in America. Babel, they call it in this part of the world. We established that during the music because that was driving me mad. Katabasis or Katabasis, whatever you want to call it, is your new book. Another beautiful big tome. And then you have in the middle of it Yellowface, which was, I think, every second person I saw on public transport for about a year, including myself, incidentally, reading and passing it along to family members. I was giving it to my daughters to read. Everyone's reading it. You describe it as kind of like a sorbet almost between books.
A palate cleanser.
A palate cleanser, yeah. Tell me about that.
So it's really different from the literary style that I had been employing before because I write fantasy doorstoppers. I go on, and Yellowface is a slim, kind of cheeky book that is all told in the style of a Twitter flame war. So the structure of the sentences are designed to mimic viral tweets. They're kind of reductive, they're provocative, they can be really nasty. And this was a fun way to write, to get that all out of my system because I wrote it during the COVID-19 pandemic when all anybody was doing was doom scrolling on Twitter for like 9 hours a day. But I've since, gotten social media off my phone. I don't look at these apps anymore. I think it's a horrible, toxic place to be. So I don't write in that style anymore. I think I got it all out of my system and trapped in between the covers of that book. And it's out there and out of my brain.
And gone. It felt good to clear it out, like a purge.
Yeah, so good. I'm always purging the nastiest and most fearful thoughts in the back of my brain and inflicting them on my readers instead.
And are you inflicting them on your characters as you're writing them as well?
Oh, very much.
So some characters just going along their business in a given day and you suddenly realise, actually, do you know what? And then you go and you do all of that.
Well, it's not interesting otherwise.
It's not interesting otherwise, that's for sure. Okay, we have to leave it there for now. Are you reading anything good at the moment, or can you possibly read for pleasure?
I am reading a lot of the French existentialists on this tour.
Reading.
I've just decided that I didn't know enough about Sartre, and now I know too much about Sartre and Beauvoir, so that's been a lot of fun. I'm in the middle of Sartre's masterpiece, Nausea, and feeling very alienated when I look at coffee cups.
Oh my goodness. Life must be existentially very, very challenging out there. But it's been great to see you. We have a job to do at 1 o'clock, which I'm looking forward to doing here up the corridor. We'll have a longer interview, but that's for another day. In the meantime, congratulations on your latest masterpiece, Rebecca. It's called Katabasis. And what are you going to call it?
I say Katabasis.
Katabasis. Let's call it for spelling's sake, it's Katabas. And for people who love Babel or Babel, they're just going to be at home again. And you're touring around the UK with your book. Are you going to Ireland this time around? I don't think I saw that.
Not
this time. But you know where you're going next time when you get there, don't you?
I do.
We've established
I can't wait.
Rebecca, lovely to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.